After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Spending the day today, scrapping the format. It's a one-topic day. Skip Bertman died early this morning at the age of 88. By well, you know, we've spent the day talking to people who Skip influenced. Governor Jeff Landry, Todd Walker. You heard Mike Bianco just a bit ago. Ron Polk will be here in 15 minutes. So we talked plenty about Skip, the baseball coach, about Skip, the administrator. I think a few better people to ask than Nick Saban. And Coach Saban's good enough to spend a couple of minutes with us here. Coach, it's our pleasure. I'm with Matt and Ryan. Thanks so much for the time. How are you, sir?
I'm great, guys. Appreciate you calling. Glad to have the opportunity to speak about Skip. Obviously an icon as a coach, great personality, great leader, and you want to know about him as administrator. I thought he was fantastic. You know, when you're administrator, you support the people that are out there coaching and try to make it happen, and he did a fantastic job of that for us. We had a great relationship, and I learned a lot from him.
Coach, whenever when you were hired, Joe Dean was the athletic director, and I would imagine for any coach, when there's a change in administration, basically you have a new boss. Do you remember what that was like, the transitioning from Joe Dean to Skip Bertman? Was there any trepidation in how that transition went for you?
Not for me. I mean, you know, Joe Dean was great, but, you know, Skip was such a person that had iconic way when it came to human behavior, understanding people, and it was actually, you know, easy for me because Skip was a coach, and he knew what a coach went through. He knew the support that you needed. He used to come down and talk to me, you know, in the office all the time about what he could do for us and how he could help. And, you know, there was never an issue with, you know, the transition. There was never an issue with Skip. But because he was a coach, I think he understood what we were going through every day trying to be successful, and he was very supportive.
You know, one of the things that was obviously a signature of Skip's tenure as athletic director was implementing the Tradition Fund, and the feeling was they needed a very popular figure to implement the Tradition Fund, the seat license. We could talk about it at the time, Coach, but when you think about it, how did that decision and the ability to do that affect your program at the time and LSU over the last quarter century?
Well, you know, it was something that I pushed for when I went there, and, you know, people were slow to move on it, and Skip, you know, got it over the top. You know, when I went there, I said, look, guys, we don't have great facilities here in anything. I mean, we had poor offices in football. We didn't have an academic center. Incidentally, Skip and I raised $15 million in 3 months to build that academic center, and I never would have been able to do it without him, and that was when he was still coaching when I first went there. And I said, you know, if we don't get seat licensing or a way to raise $10, $12 million so we can bond $150 million and fix all these facilities, you know, we're not going to be able to compete in the future. And everybody had a reason not to do it. And, you know, Skip understood that it needed to be done. And I think, you know, his belief in it and impetus is what changed it, because, you know, people had traditional seats for a long, long time, and nobody wanted to tell them that they were going to have to pay more for their seats or move their seats or whatever. And it was difficult, but it really made LSU what it is today, in my opinion, because now we have great baseball facilities. We have great facilities everywhere. The football facility is fantastic. I mean, we used to ride a school bus, you know, from the stadium to practice every day. Well, you know, I mean, changed all those things, and Skip was responsible for it.
Coach, we have a mutual friend and Coach Pete Jenkins, who I love dearly. And, you know, he and I had this discussion earlier today, just kind of reminiscing about Skip. And from a player standpoint, you know, he did three things for me, and that I don't think it was intentional, but looking back on it, may have been. He was honest in all situations. He loved his players, and he created that love that we had for each other as teammates. And then also he would instill, you know, the trust that we would essentially hold the rope. I know you're familiar with that story. And Pete said something interesting. He said, that sounds a lot like Coach Saban. Is there some similarities there and some things that breed championships when we start talking about those three characteristics?
No, I don't think there's any question about it. I think, Skip's probably the greatest baseball coach of all time, no doubt. And, it was always my philosophy to help the players be more successful in life because they were involved in the program. So, helping them develop the kind of characteristics personally that would help them be successful in the future, academically that would help them, develop a career after, football or athletics, and, to make them the best players that they could be. And I thought it was important that, everybody buy into the principles and values of the program and the standard and be positive about how you went about it and how you impacted other people on the team. And you can only have togetherness on a team if everybody buys in. And the coach has to define that. And the coach has to, sort of confront and demand that, people do that. And everybody has a different way of doing that. But you got to be accountable if you're going to have a successful program, and you got to, do whatever it takes to dominate the competition. And obviously Skip did that extremely well. And, we were fortunate that we were able to do it on occasion sometimes. But I think that very philosophy is what's so important to being successful as a coach.
We have a few more minutes here with Nick Saban. Of course, Skip Bertman was the athletic director during Coach Saban's time here at LSU. Were you all able to stay in touch while you were at Alabama or later in your career?
We stayed in touch some. I know we talked at the national championship game, I think in 11 or 12 or whenever we played in Sugar Bowl. And, I talked to him on occasion. Every time I saw him, I talked to him. On occasion, if I had an issue or a problem, he was one of the guys that I had a tremendous amount of respect for. And, sometimes when you're head coach, you don't have a lot of people to talk to. You don't have a lot of go-to folks, that you can just call up and say, hey, I got this issue. How would you handle it? So it's good to have those kind of sounding boards, and Skip was as good as it gets. But I'll tell you what, he was one of a kind. There's nobody that could speak the way he could speak, tell jokes the way he could tell jokes, and just had a great sense of humor. And God knows I love the guy and had a tremendous amount of respect for him.
Yeah, you've been very generous with your time. I have one more. I know you've told the story plenty of times about being on Skip Bertman's balcony and the day you left for the Dolphins. But are there other really formative conversations that you can remember? I mean, I know we're talking 20 years now, but that you can remember having with Skip during your time as the head coach at LSU?
Well, I can tell you that one.
Sure. I'll listen again.
He said, what do you want your legacy to be? You want your legacy to be as a college coach? You want to be remembered like Bear Bryant someday, or you want to be a pro coach and be remembered like Don Shula someday? And I said, I want to be a college coach and get remembered like Bear Bryant. And he gave me great advice. And, I guess being a dumbass, I took the job at the Dolphins. So, but anyway, he asked me the question, I answered the question, and did just the opposite. So he was absolutely one of a kind. Still a little strange to be talking about Skip Bertman in the past tense, but it's been fun today to hear so many of the stories and to celebrate his life. Coach Nick Saban, we can't thank you enough for taking a few minutes today. We appreciate your time. Okay, well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate Skip and all the guys that he helped through the years. When I got inducted into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, there was 4 or 5 guys there that played for him, and they tell stories for hours about Skip. And it was great.
And everyone has an impression too. Yeah. Coach. They can all do the Skip impression. Yeah. Coach Nick Saban, thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Nick Saban spent a couple of minutes with us. Shout out to Coach Pete Jenkins, who was able to help us line that up today. It was interesting because we've heard. Nick has told the story about being on the balcony when the Dolphins were pursuing him, and he told you a modified version of it there. What I hadn't heard Nick talk about prior was the seat license, and I don't think people really. Now I was a senior at LSU when that happened. It was a big deal when that happened, but I don't think we really consider how transformational that was for LSU athletics and what it has become over these past 25 years. Because without that moment, which was very unpopular. Without that moment, LSU probably doesn't have the run that it went on to have.
Right.
We're so accustomed now to bigger in college athletics, facilities, coaches, contracts, salaries. That wasn't Nick Saban, they were haggling over $1 million or $1.2 million to get him from Michigan State. They were haggling over $200K.
Yeah.
It's Nick Saban. It's incredible to think where it was and where it is, but Skip was the one who, you just heard, you don't need me to tell you, you just heard Nick say it. Skip had no greater adversary in the SEC than Ron Polk, legendary coach at Mississippi State. Those are the two men that built the SEC baseball in the 1980s and into the 90s. And Ron Polk's going to join us next, and we're looking forward to that conversation. Stay with us. It's AFR.
After further review.
Get Gordon. Get it done. Gordon McKernan, injury attorneys. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 30 years. Go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com, getgordon.com. And right now, go to getgordon.com/billboards because the Gordon McKernan Billboard Contest is back. Actually, it's back starting on Monday. It's really easy. There's an adult category, kids categories. You can win up to $2,000 in prizes if your billboard design gets picked. And oh, by the way, your design could end up on a billboard. How cool is that? Getgordon.com/billboards. Getgordon.com/billboards. So what design would you do?
Probably like a parish, some sort of parish theme.
I like that.
Yeah.
Do business with someone you know.
Maybe Gordon on a roof.
Get Gordon on a roof.
Gordon on a roof.
Getgordon.com/billboards. Get Gordon. Get it done.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Before Nick Saban, well, we just had Nick on the show. Before Skip Bertman, are we good? Oh, great. Okay. Before Skip Bertman arrived in Baton Rouge in the mid-1970s, there was Ron Polk building a juggernaut at Mississippi State. And the two of them combined to form what I and many would call the greatest rivalry in college baseball with LSU and Mississippi State. And they had a lifelong friendship. Coach Polk had a statement today that he issued through Mississippi State's baseball program, speaking of the long-standing relationship and friendship that Skip and he had. And Coach Polk's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here today. Coach, it's a pleasure. Thank you sincerely for your time today on what has to be a tough day. It's never easy to start the conversation, but if I just asked, when you think of Skip Bertman, what's maybe the first thing that comes to mind?
Well, a great college baseball coach, of course, and I still got an echo, by the way, but I can work through it if you can hear me.
Coach, we can. Let's do this. If you want to hang up and dial us right back, that'll knock that out.
What's the number?
If you just hit redial on the number that we called you from.
Okay, I can do it.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate it. I apologize for that. So Coach Polk will call us right back. So it's an odd thing. Sometimes we have that issue with the phone where if we dial out, some people sometimes have an echo, which is odd. So, but
when you got a flip phone like Coach Polk, though, that shit tends to happen. I'm sure. He might be calling from a bag phone.
So we'll have Coach Polk right back on with us here as soon as he can dial us right back.
To your point.
Wait, real quick. We're good. We're good. Okay, we have Coach Polk back. Sorry about that, Coach.
It's all right. There's no echo now.
Okay, great.
Beautiful.
Glad it knocked that out. I'm sorry. You were saying.
No, we go way back to Miami-Dade junior college days when I first started coaching down in Miami-Dade, 1968. He was a high school coach at Miami Beach High School. Very, very successful. Went to a junior college there and was successful there, and we became real good friends, me and him and Sandy, and had great respect for him, admiration for what he did. And of course, when he went to Miami with Ron Fraser, and then came up to LSU, and we had some wars, no question about it. We had some battles, but always a friendly war, and we ended up playing 70 games against each other, and I know for a fact that we ended up 35-35. And so I always kid him. He doesn't have anything over me other than 5 national championships. But the most part, I must have done 40 or 50 clinics with Skip all over the country. Also, 3 complete USA summer tours, 2 Olympic teams, and also 1995 we toured America and all over the country, 3 different summers, and he was with me. And so basically, we've been friends forever. Him and Sandy, of course, we lost Sandy a little while ago, and then last time I saw Skip, I do the color on our network, and I'm down in Baton Rouge, and he got out of the car in his walker, and his daughter, thankfully, was taking care of him, but he remained as sharp as a tack. But he was slowing down, as we all do in our old age, and we're going to miss Skip, a great coach, great motivator. I think I've listened to every one of his stories that he's told over and over again to his LSU Tigers and University of Miami Hurricanes, and we used to go around the country speaking and would be blasting each other and roasting each other. And one of the highlights of my career was being invited on his 80th birthday down to Baton Rouge to speak in front of 450 LSU fans. I was the only Bulldog there, and I got to be the master roaster of Skip Bertman. So that was the highlight of my life. But no, we're going to miss him, and what a great guy and great coach. I don't think there'll ever be anyone like Skip.
Coach, we would bus to Starkville back in the day, and we would come in, we would pull in. There wasn't a whole lot there, as you know, and we would pull up to the hotel, and Skip would get off the bus first, and then we wouldn't see him until the first pitch of the game the next day, and then he would coach the game, and then we wouldn't see him until the following day, and then he would coach the game, and then we'd leave again, and then the next time we would see him would be on the bus. What were y'all doing? And how many cigars did y'all smoke? Because I know he was with you.
No, Skip was probably doing a scouting report on Mississippi State in the hotel room and hiding, but he always very well prepared. He used video a lot. As one of the coaches that probably started everybody on the data systems we have now and all the computer stuff. But he was always had the edge. But no, we had great times together, and of course Mississippi State and LSU had that great rivalry for many years, full houses at batting practice. Been to Alex Box Stadium many times, and always enjoyed the fans and what he built there after taking over from such coaches that were doing pretty good, but they just weren't putting people in the stands. He knew how, and I think Ron Fraser in Miami really trained him well, because Ron Fraser was one of these guys that basically knew how to bring crowds into the stadium with promotions and everything. But Skip followed suit there and built LSU into a dynasty.
Ron Polk is with us, legendary Mississippi State baseball coach. Of course, LSU and Mississippi State, that rivalry throughout the 80s, 90s, it continues today to be one of, if not the great rivalry in college baseball, these two men birthed. So it's a pleasure to have Coach Polk with us here. Coach, we've talked a lot today about Skip, the person, the administrator, the motivator. And I've asked almost everybody we've had with us today, players, coaches, et cetera, what made Skip the baseball guy so elite? Because it wasn't just his ability to motivate that was part of it. What made Skip the baseball guy so good?
Well, he also helped coach football down in Miami Beach High School, and everybody I ever talked to said he could have been a tremendous football coach. When you're detail-oriented, as he was, and a motivator, a guy who can communicate with kids that age and knew his way around the game, that he could have done anything he wanted. He could have been a very, very successful businessman, and he was. He became AD at LSU, and he did well with the camps and everything. And he just took it to the next level. He always was successful at whatever he did, whether winning games or putting people in the stands or making sure his players are communicating well with himself and his coaching staff. And when you're detail-oriented like that and you're motivated like that and you have a good presence to yourself and a good way to communicate with kids of 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, you're not going to help it be successful. But he took it to the next level.
Coach, spending all that time, you mentioned three tours with Team USA and then obviously the camps and everything. Did y'all ever trade secrets? Did you ever talk ball and kind of help each other with things or no?
I didn't want to give him any of our secrets.
Okay.
He never wanted to give me any of his secrets. But, being on the road with him all over the world, and now the USA Baseball is about a 2.5-week experience. We were on the road in 1988 for 5.5 months, played in the Olympic Games in Tokyo, in Seoul, South Korea. We beat Japan. And then we were in Atlanta together when he was a head coach. And the bad thing is the 88 team, I'm the only coach still alive from the 88 Olympic team.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. So I guess it's five or six cigars a day keeps the doctor away.
What was the cigar of choice?
Oh, I've been using Hoya de Monterey's for many, many years. Yeah, but no, we lost Mark Marquis, the head coach at Stanford, who was our head coach in the 88 Olympics. Rich Allday, who was one of our supplemental coaches. Bob Milano, who was also one of our coaches, and Rich Allday too. So, yeah, there were four, and then Dave Bingham is still living. Dave was with us also in one of the Olympic tours. So, I did 7 tours with the national team, and 3 of them I was with Skip day and night.
If I asked you, Coach, and your time so much appreciated today, Skip Bertman, the person who many people saw standing in the dugout or shaking hands, what will you remember about Skip Bertman, the person?
Well, he's I think he cared about the kids. He liked to win like everybody else, but I think the players' communication skills is probably the best I've ever seen. His stories before the game and after the game are legendary, and I think all his players probably, especially the ones who were there 4 years, heard the same stories somewhat over and over. But he had the ability to basically communicate with kids, not only baseball skills, but this way of life. And he always preached to, make sure you play the game for not only yourself, but your country, LSU, USA Baseball, and your parents, your friends and family and everything. And I think he was the whole cup of tea. Everything was there to be successful, very smart, very intelligent, but his communication skills were off the chart in regard to coaching.
And Coach, I wanted to say this before we let you go. Matt, I don't know if you know this or not, but Coach Polk would handwrite me, and I'm sure others, but I didn't know this at the time. I would get a handwritten letter from Coach Polk, who I did not play for. Every spring training would show up in my locker room wherever I was playing, and it was Coach Ron Polk wishing me good luck for the season. And I thought that I was special until I looked over one day, and Mike Fontenot had the same letter in his, a handwritten letter. But I Coach, I don't know.
How many GAs you had writing those letters?
No,
Coach?
it was you.
How many?
Well, I don't write them anymore. My penmanship is very good. I still got my typewriters. I got a lot of typewriters.
Yeah.
So I'm from the old school. Kids don't get letters anymore. They don't write letters, and I just wanted them to know, as an SEC guy, even though they played at Ole Miss or LSU, we care about them and we wish them the best. And I just want them to know that other people care about them even more than anything else, because we're all Southeastern Conference participants.
Well, it meant the world to me and to everybody else, and so I just wanted to say thank you for that.
You bet, Ryan.
Coach Ron Polk. Coach, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
That is Mississippi State legendary baseball coach Ron Polk. It's, of course, we all watched the Thunder and Lightning documentary. What Skip came and built here, Ron Polk had about a decade head start at Mississippi State. I love the line. The only thing Skip's got on him is 5 national
that's
titles.
it.
They were 35-35 against each other in 70 games, but of course the Tigers had the better of it in Omaha. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Evamore, EVAMOR, Evamore.com, Evamore.com, Evamore.com. Hey, you can buy Evamore, great local retailers. With this heat, the summer, you got to make sure you stay hydrated. So make sure you have plenty of delicious Evamore natural artesian water. You can find it at great local retailers, or, of course, you can buy it online at evamore.com. 20, 32, 64-ounce bottles. Find it in individuals or packaged, however you want. Just make sure you drink Evamore, a great Louisiana product. EVAMOR, evamore.com. Okay, it's After Further Review. Let's knock out a quick break. When we come back, I mentioned that there's 4 numbers honored there at Alec Box Stadium. It's Skip Bertman's 15, it's Todd Walker's 12, it's Ben McDonald's 19, and it's Eddie Furness's 36. We already had Todd Walker on in hour 1. Let's talk to Eddy when we come back. It's AFR.
After further review.
Thinking of selling your home? Call Darren James and get your home sold. 335-7666, 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com. That's where you can get Darren James. Remember, if you need to sell your home, you need to sell it as fast as possible for as much money. Don't go it alone. I've told you this stat for years, but it's true. 73%, nearly 3 out of 4 people who list their home for sale by owner end up hiring a realtor. And it could be a lot of reasons. Maybe you don't know how to price it appropriately. Maybe you just don't have time to do all the showings. Maybe it's paperwork that's whatever. Save yourself the time and the money. Call Darren James and get your home sold. Call the realtor who literally sells more homes than anyone. That's Darren James. 335-7666, 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
In the storied history of LSU baseball, there are 4 numbers honored. Of course, Skip Bertman's 15, Todd Walker's 12, who was here in hour number 1, Ben McDonald's number 19, and the great Eddy Furness, member of the College Baseball Hall of Fame, who to this day still leads the Southeastern Conference all-time with 80 home runs during his career from 1995 to 1998, where won back-to-back titles in 96 and 97. And Dr. Furness, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Eddy, it's a pleasure. Thanks so much. You're on with Matt and Ryan Theriot. It's a pleasure as always. How are you?
Hey, Matt. Hey, Ryan. Man, thanks for having me. Tough day today for LSU and college baseball.
Eddy, I saw your post on social media about Skip. When did you learn this morning that, or did you know that he was ill?
Actually, Coach Jay called me late or 9-10 last night and let me know that Coach wasn't doing well, and that's when I found out about it. And then, of course, I woke up early this morning and saw the news reports from earlier in the morning about that he had passed.
You know, Eddy, we're kind of having this conversation today. There's obviously a lot of people that are going to mourn the loss of Coach Bertman, but at the same time, man, what an opportunity to celebrate the most incredible life imaginable. When you think about the impact that Skip had, not only on you as a player, but we have the photo here of you and Skip there at the Skip statue, and the obvious impact he had on you later in life as well. Have you started to put some context around that, what he's meant to you?
You know, I have, and he was a father figure to all of us, an authority figure. He was hard on us. I mean, it's just like the typical father-son relationship. He's hard on you when you need it. He's loving on you when you need that. He's teaching the right way to do things, and then as you get older, he becomes your friend. And the how hard he was on you when you were a player becomes you understand it, and your relationship grows in a different way, just like a father and son does from young childhood and into adulthood. And and that's the context that I thought about. Every time I see him, and then I saw him at his 88th birthday, a couple months back, and got to sit down and talk with him a while, and it just. It's just that part of our lives and that time in our lives as we have more birthdays and we get older, our parents pass away and our loved ones pass away and our authority figures pass away. And, it's a natural part of life, but it doesn't make it easy, but it does make you appreciate what you have when you have it.
How did he recruit you?
Oh, gosh. The 90s, man. I'm having to remember way back.
Was it the FedEx story that Rance loves to tell all the time?
No, well, I'll tell you, it was the first time I met him, and I normally don't remember these things, but I do remember the first time I met him. He was going to be the Olympic coach, of course, and everybody knows he was the Olympic coach. But before it became Olympics, baseball became an Olympic sport. There was the Olympic trials, and they have them a lot. And baseball was in the Olympic trials in San Antonio, Texas. I was invited to go, and he we got all the guys who were in the trials, and he gave the hold the rope speech, and of course back then it was very strict on, contact between players and coaches and things like that. Still it pretty much is, but you could always say hello and get to meet him because he was going to be the coach of the Olympic team. So I met him there, and he said hello, and have fun, and are you enjoying the Olympic trials? It's great, Coach. Thank you. It's been awesome. And that was it. But that's the first time I met him. And then a lot of the recruiting went to Beetle Bailey. Coach Bailey did the recruiting back then. He was recruited me heavily. And so, of course, the official visits and meeting Coach Bertman was just amazing. But that was the first time I met him, and that's how involved he was. It was really cool.
Eddy, from a player's perspective, I've got my memories and things that stick out. But what are some of the life lessons? Not on field stuff, but things that you've taken into your professional life that you took away from Coach Bertman.
Well, what really strikes me was how he always was learning, right? And not just about the game, but he was always reading books about motivation, business, how to be, excellence, and things to motivate us. And so one thing that I didn't read a lot of books. I mean, of course, it was science books, and I was studying all the time. But I developed that habit from him of reading other things about motivation and business and excellence and some baseball things too. But honestly, I learned just as much about how to run a program. And it's not just about a baseball program. The program can be your business. The program can be your clinic if you're a doctor, and it's the same principles apply. And so what he taught us as players just really became a microcosm of our life and the excellence we put into every facet of that, and then the constant learning that we do. And some of those things get lost on the coaching, and they say the coaching is taking you from here to there, and of course he was cared about winning. He cared about excellence and doing right for the program, building up players, having that chemistry. But then he also knew that we were going to go on to do other things and be dads and fathers, and how to be tough on your kids, and how to be demand excellence from your family and your patients and your coworkers. And it made us all better.
You just touched on something, and that I've kind of been reminiscing today about the same thing. I think the winning that everybody sees on the exterior, the championships, the success, the records, everything that he did on the field, to me, Doc, was just a byproduct of the system, of the trust, of the love, of the commitment to excellence, and it was intentional for him, right? I mean, it was something that he spoke about before practice and after practice every single day. And you're 100% right. Those things translate. When you talk about being a great father, you talk about being a great husband, for us, and then also a teammate and or a employee or business owner. Man, I'm most appreciative of those things. And I tell you, if that can transition into championships and wins, man, I think we've kind of cracked the code on this thing, right?
Oh man, you nailed it. And that's exactly what he did. And he called it his system. And he even has the book, The System. And it was about picking the right guys, put them in the right spot, motivate them. I think one of the things he was really masterful with is that he knew the guys who needed a hard touch, he needed to be tough on them, who responded to being tough. But he also could see when a guy was struggling, and that this guy is not going to respond to just a beat down. He needs a little bit more of encouragement. And so I would see him approach different players in different ways, and he would discover what motivated you to do better, and he would push on that. And I mean, that was so much of him. Of course, building a roster, and he was a wizard at the game. He would know what was coming, and before we even could think about it, he just knew what was going to happen. And that's, of course, part of being a baseball coach, but really about keeping those high-level players motivated and directed in the same and pointed in the same direction was his art form.
It's been a great day to to remember Skip in so many different ways. Did you ever struggle? I don't ever remember you struggling.
No, he never did.
I
He
don't
didn't
think
take batting practice. He didn't do anything.
I think that guy just showed up and hit homers.
That's right.
Homers and doubles in the gap. I mean, that's all I remember Eddie Furnace doing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, no, I didn't struggle very much. But I did. And let me tell you,
that's how you end up
struggles
with
were
your
different.
number on the stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, my struggles were different, but one of my best memories, and I'll tell you this, I was having a bad stretch there early in my senior season. Of course, my best season, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I did have a stretch there in the beginning where I dropped down in the 200s. I mean, I just even the balls I hit were just right at them, just atom balls, and we were losing in Texas. It was one of those we had to fly out, so it was a shortened game, and of course. The fans were on me, of course, fine, no problem. But, it was a strike one, strike two, strike three, not even close to the plate strikeout. Almost hit me in the knee and a strikeout. And of course, the whole stadium at Dish Falk is like, Eddie, they were going crazy because of it. And then, so I was walking back and I was probably forever at that point. And Coach Bertman walks out of the dugout. He puts his arm around me, brings me back to dugout, said, "You're the best. Don't worry about it. Everything will turn around." And he was right. And I needed that. And that's the kind of coach. He wasn't yelling at people, and we were struggling at the time. But the best coach in college baseball walks out of the dugout, puts his arm around me, and brings me back in, and gave me that support that I needed. And of course, then I had the best season I had. At LSU. And so, I think that's the kind of coach he was. And that's what I remember is the support he gave me. And I'll just miss him.
Yeah. My guy said he dropped down into the 200.
Yeah, he was like 290, struggling. I got like 25 pumps. I'm hitting 290. I mean, I'm riding the struggle bus, bro.
Oh, man. Dr. Eddie Furnace, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for a couple of minutes today.
Thanks, fellas.
Thank you, Eddie.
It's our pleasure. It's after further review. We are brought to you by Relief Windows, proud partner of LSU Athletics, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Remember, windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Look, I mean, those energy bills going up with 110-degree heat indexes. You want to lower those energy bills? Relief Windows can help. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. 288-8138, 288-8138, Relief Windows, ReliefWindows.com. Okay, let me knock out our final break of the show, y'all. We'll come back. Excited for this. We'll have the captain, Blair Barbier, to wrap it up. It's AFR.
AFR.
We love telling you about River City's 1 hour air where they're always on time.
Or you don't pay a dime.
Beep, beep. Or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Of course, it's Friday. It's Friday nearing 6 o'clock on Friday. But if you have issues with your AC, don't wait till Monday. Don't sleep in a hot house tonight or tomorrow night. Call River City's 1 hour air because they'll always come out nights and weekends. And holidays as well. Now, we're not in a holiday weekend, but we are into the weekend. So if you have issue with your AC this weekend, call River City's 1 hour air, nip it in the bud. They'll take care of you. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Spell it out, O-N-E, 1hourbr.com. Man, when you drive around town, you'll see all those big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. You can't miss it. You see them all over town because your friends and neighbors trust River City's 1 hour air just like I do. 752-0001, where they're always on time, or you don't pay a dime. Brought to you by River Parish Contractors, rpcontractors.com, rpcontractors.com. Hey, look, our friends over at River Parish Contractors, they're awesome. I was talking to my buddy Ronnie the other day. He told me, man, we had a record at River Parish Contractors. They had a record Q1. Then they had a record Q2, not to be outdone. And right now pacing for a record Q3. Incredible year over at River Parish Contractors, in large part thanks to so many of you who have called River Parish Contractors to bid your jobs. You got a turnaround coming. River Parish Contractors can help. Of course, they're hiring as well. So if you're interested, you can always go to the careers tab at rpcontractors.com. Incredible benefits. If you want to work nights, you could work nights when it's a little bit cooler. As much overtime as you want. It's River Parish Contractors. Check them out online at rpcontractors.com. You're home every night with your family. rpcontractors.com.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
An incredible day. Governor Jeff Landry, Todd Walker, of course, Ryan Theriot's here. Former LSU assistant Bill Daly, Mike Bianco was here. Nick Saban joined us today to talk about Skip Bertman, Ron Polk, Eddie Furness. And we'll wrap it up with the captain. Blair Barbier joins us to wrap up the show. Blair, it's Matt and Ryan. Great to have you, man. How are you?
What's up, boys? Thanks for having me on, man.
It's our pleasure. No doubt on the full day like this, you have a lot of opportunity to be with your thoughts and to reminisce and think. What? Look at that picture of Blair, bro. They straight went and got your college yearbook photo.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Look at that salad.
my guy is looking more like me these days with the bald dome.
Good old days.
What thoughts are really pressing to the forefront today for you?
It's I tell you, it's far less about championships or any accomplishments that Coach had or that LSU had or any of that. It's really lots of thinking about the mark the man left. On me personally, it's very deep for me. I mean, when I look at the way I live and act, in my family and work, I mean, the man is just present everywhere. And, I'm really thankful for that. And I would say the other thing that's really standing out for me today is, super fortunate, and I know Ryan's the same way, but our relationship with Coach was as strong today as it was when we were playing for him, when he was teaching us all of these life's lessons. Is it just while we're here because we're playing ball for you and we want to win? It wasn't. It was for a lifetime. The man was preaching trust and loyalty and all these things to us and teaching us all these concepts that he was living by, that he continued to live by. We were still having the same conversations. It just wasn't about baseball. It was about my family. It was about work. It was these things. And that's really what's jumping out to me, man. This was a giving man, a kind man, a good man. And, he will live on forever. That part I know.
Did you ever think y'all were going to lose the game to Stanford?
You know what I remember thinking about that game? I remember thinking we cannot be the first team that loses a championship game for this man. Yeah. So, and it was not looking good for a while there. But, he taught us how to think. He taught us we knew that every day in America somebody could come back and win the game. And that's sort of where we were. And luckily we pulled it out.
Yeah, Blair, we spoke a little bit earlier, and obviously I'm sure you've been making the rounds. A few things that stuck out for me, and I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on this. But, the life lessons that you mentioned, it was never intentional. It was never anything that he actually said. He kind of taught it through his stories, right? He taught it through the way he treated us. Did you kind of feel that same way? And it's almost like his kind of wizard way of teaching us that stuff?
I really think, Ryan, that's such a good point, man. I really believe that was part of the magic that he had and the motivation, right? It wasn't just hey, guys, listen to me. I'm going to say this and remember it forever. No, it came with a video. It came with a page in your locker, right? It came with the Sunday Successful Speaker Series, right? It came in so many different ways that allowed us to keep the information, hold the information, use the information, as opposed to it being a fleeting thought. We even did this at practice, as you know. We never practiced the same thing only one day. If we did rundowns today, we would do rundowns again tomorrow. And he was amazing at really driving home these points. He knew how important they were. And he knew we had to have them to give ourselves a chance to be successful. And that really, I love what you just said. I think that was the wizardry, if you will, of what he did and how good he was at doing it.
If I asked you what part of your life today, literally on this day, this Friday today, would you say is a reflection of Skip Bertman?
Well, just like every day, the things I'm telling my three daughters, talking to my wife about, running meetings at work, the sayings, I mean it, Matt. It's every day. It's not just today. It's not just one thing. It's part of who I've become with the things that he taught me. I'm so fortunate. I come from great parents, and then I leave home. I come up to Baton Rouge, and now I got this man basically, extending, what I had learned at home. And it's honestly, brother, just part of who I am. The way he coached us up to think, to not transfer blame. And I can go through all these concepts that he was so generous with that affect me every day. I mean, I could give you 50 examples of today alone.
Well, they're going to make us get out of here in literally 60 seconds. So it'll be a good punctuation, man. Blair Barbier wrapping up with us here on the day that we say goodbye to Skip. It'll be an amazing celebration of life whenever the arrangements are set. I'm sure LSU will have an honor as well. Blair, we appreciate the time, man. Our condolences. We'll look forward to seeing you soon, man. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you guys soon.
It's our pleasure. Man, what a day. If you missed anything, you can catch it on demand. AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. It was a one-topic day. We did 3 hours. We could have done 30 hours. But thanks to Governor Jeff Landry, Todd Walker, Ryan Theriot, Bill Daly, Mike Bianco, Nick Saban, Ron Polk, Eddy Furness, and Blair Barbier for joining us today to share some memories and the life and legacy of Skip Bertman. Love you, man. Thank you for coming in. I know it's not an easy day, but I appreciate you sharing and helping put all this together.
Yep.
So, Skip Bertman, rest in peace.
AFR.
As we get down the road, remind you about First South Farm Credit, firstsouthfarmcredit.com, firstsouthfarmcredit.com. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. A lot of people buy hunting property.
Yeah, they do. Farm property, hunting property,
Yep.
just you want to like that 15, 20 acre kind of like compound thing. They do that too.
Talked to a friend yesterday. They have a spot in Santa Ma, big old acreage where they have like 5 families. The whole family lives on the same property. You know what I mean?
I love that.
You could do that one day. Like you could have like Houston's acre and Macy's acre and Georgia's acre and then you and Jonna.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. And then Scone can be back there.
I'll get you a spot.
Scone can have a house
As long
in
as
the back.
Drew comes.
Oh, bro, ain't no.
He can ride Ryan's big golf cart.
Right. What's he going to do otherwise? First South Farm Credit can help it. You want to buy land? FirstSouthFarmCredit.com.